right, we're here today at Squarebody Syndicate headquarters, and we're going to show you how to install the new Syndicate Series column, which is going to be 2 inches shorter, give you more belly room, more comfort. It'll have tilt and have all the modern things you need on your column, and bring your column up to date. Now let's start the installation. So we went ahead and unboxed the steering column. We have the main part here, the steering column. Notice it has the neutral safety switch and the shift lever already on it. With that, you get a fresh set of keys, fresh bolts for the bracket that's going to hold your column in place, new shifter levers, set of instructions. We have the ignition relay box, connectors that you'll need, and jumpers that you'll need. Along with that, we just went ahead and laid out our basic tools that we'll need for this job. One specialty tool that maybe not everybody has is the steering wheel puller. First step on prepping a new column is installing the trim piece. Boom. Next, we're going to put the bracket back on. Make sure that the bent tabs are facing the end of the column. This open area is facing forward of the column. Next, we'll put the neutral safety switch on. When we put the neutral safety switch on, I like to make sure that the column is in neutral. It just lines up better and doesn't fight you putting it in. All right, next we're going to slide the grommet back on. Tabs face in. Give ourselves some room so we could put the metal bracket back on, slip those tabs right back through. All right, now we're going to get it stuck in and put through the firewall. Let's see if we could just slip her right in here. All right, then we're in. Next, we'll do the wires. So we're going to connect the blinker switch. Then we're going to de-pin the factory connectors. Once we bend these tabs out a little bit with your fingernail, we'll put them in this connector. The two reds go together. There it goes. Good and tight. So now we got all the connectors together, and the jumpers. There's one more jumper we'll add, and that's this guy right here. Get her in there good, tight. And then your ignition relay box. All the connectors correspond to the colors. So you got brown to the brown and orange. That locks in. You got your red to your red, purple and pink to your purple and pink. This wire is not used. More than likely it is for just a brake check light. We'll be mounting this with some self tappers. And don't forget, we're going to ground this to a good ground source. Make sure, it's very important. And then this connector will snap in to this portion of the relay box. So I'm going to find a good ground for this and a good spot for this next. All right, so we're going to reconnect the reverse lights and then the neutral safety. Okay, so we're going to put the linkage back on for the drive indicator, and we'll get this to slip on ever so gingerly. Make sure we're in the park position. That's reverse. That's real nice. Slides right on. It's lined up with the R real good. And there's that. Okay, so now we're buttoning up the inside of this firewall, putting these plate back on with the gasket, making sure that's all good and tight. That's nice. Then we'll put the insulation back, and then we'll make everything nice and tucked away as we found it. Okay, now that we have all our electrical connections done, it's probably a good idea to reconnect the battery and make sure everything's working okay before you move on. All right, here we go. Let's see if everything works. Everything sounds good. All systems go for now. Next step, we'll finish this assembly, test the blinkers and everything, and we'll go from there. Okay, so when you're putting the shaft back on the spline, just make sure that you have the indent in the column lined up with the opening in the clamp. That's going to clamp that on so the bolt goes through. Sometimes a little rubber mallet might help, or a hammer. Once you have your coupling lined up with the slot all the way, your bolt will go right through. Get your nut on. And she'll be ready to tighten up. You may have to loosen this nut to let your linkage rod have a little bit more travel to line up with where it needs to go in the column. And I'll show you guys that up top. For now, this will be loose in the park position. Okay, so we're going to put the new bushing on. Probably a good idea to clean that up a little bit. Okay, we got that cleaned up, and should be going right through now, like so. We'll put the pin back in. Now that that pin is through, we're ready to go to the inside and button up the rest of the column. Don't forget to tighten that rod underneath. Get that. Okay, now here's the tilt lever. Real nice, high quality. We're going to be putting that in the spot it belongs by threading it right in. All right, now we have the blinker lever. We're going to position that through the slot on the column, line it up with this hole, and get the screw in there. Tighten her up. A lot different than before. We have the flasher knob, screws right into here. Hey, flash is working. That's that. Next, real quick, is the shifter knob. This slides on. Get yourself the right size Allen, and we'll lock that right into position. Nice. So we have the original horn connector with the spring. It's going to go in the hole there. Twist that tab up And there she is. We could line up our steering wheel. Put the bolt in, the nut on. Click, proper torque spec. We have the horn button assembly. Okay, we got the horn assembly, and on the stock, the slot points up to match the cap. You don't want to over tighten them because you twist this insulator, crack it, and that's why you'll have horn problems. Horn going off for no reason. This is the other part is buttoning up the bottom of the column. Last but not least, snap that sucker in, and you've got a new shortened Syndicate Series steering column. Now, if you noticed from the beginning, when we started, you could tell that difference between this big belly and that steering wheel is a lot more distance. You could also tell by how this column is sitting in here now, how much shorter it is to the gauge bezel. All right, that concludes the install of our Syndicate Series column. Remember the features you just gained. You've got the tilt. Your steering wheel is not wobbly anymore. Good blinker, nice and crisp. Good ignition, nice. Also, big belly approved. Now you got way more clearance and you'll be comfortable driving your Squarebody. So if this video was helpful and you enjoyed it, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. And remember, check out SquareBodySyndicate.com and stay tuned for the next video.